Hello everyone, I am Tanushree. Today we are going to discuss about human reproduction. First, let us understand what is reproduction. Reproduction is the process in which an organism leaves its offsprings. Means for continuation of progeny, the process of reproduction plays an important role. Reproduction can be sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, there is no involvement of sex organs or gonads. In sexual reproduction, there is involvement of gonads, that are the male gonads and female gonads. The male gonads are the testes and the female gonads are the ovaries. Basing on the presence of the reproductive organs, the organisms can be unisexual or bisexual. Bisexual organisms are also known as the hermaphrodites, means both the male and female gonads are present in a single organism. And in case of unisexual organisms, those are called dioecious, means both the organs are not present in a single organism, they are present in different organisms, are male and females. So in human reproduction, as we know, humans are the dioecious organisms, means male and the female sexes are separate. Okay, today we will know what is the structure of male reproductive system. The male reproductive system consists of the primary sex organ, that is testes, the ducts associated to it and the glands. The testes is the primary sex organ and there are a pair of testes present in a male, and it is present inside the scrotal sac. It is present inside the scrotal sac, that is a fold of skin or a pouch of skin, muscles and connective tissue that is present outside the body below the abdomen, in between the thighs, that is called scrotal sac. It is needed to hold the testes in its position by inguinal canal, and it maintains a temperature that is 2 degrees centigrade less than the body temperature in order to promote the process called spermatogenesis, the process in which the sperm is produced. And the development of the testes occurs in the embryonic stage, and after birth the testes descend into the scrotal sac. But there, in certain cases, there is failure where the testes becomes unable to descend into the scrotal sac. The condition is known as cryptorchidism. However, scrotum acts as a thermoregulator that maintains the temperature 2 degrees centigrade less, and there is presence of a muscle that is called Dartos muscle. Dartos muscle क्या करता है? The contraction of smooth involuntary Dartos muscle which brings the testes closer to the pelvic cavity to get the warmth when there is a cold temperature. Okay. So testis is the primary reproductive organ of the male, and its length is about 4.5 centimeter in length, 2 to 3 centimeter in diameter. 4.5 centimeter in length, 2 to 3 centimeter in diameter, and weighs about 10 to 15 gram. It weighs about 10 to 15 gram. It is descended into the scrotal sac by means of a cord that is called spermatic cord, and this cord is consisted of spermatic artery, spermatic vein and the nerve supplies, and also below it is attached to the scrotal sac by means of Juberna column. Okay, then we will see the anatomy of testes. Before going to anatomy of testes, you can see both the testes are present inside the scrotal sac and attached by means of spermatic cord. Then a tube is attached to a testis, that is called your epididymis, that I have not shown here or labeled here, that it is called epididymis. Then it continues as vas deferens, and there is a swelling, before it unites, with the duct of your seminal vesicle. Okay, the glands are seminal vesicle, prostate gland and bulbourethral gland. Before it unites with the duct of seminal vesicle, it forms a dilated region, that is called ampulla, and after union of the duct of seminal vesicle with this vas deferens, it forms a common ejaculatory duct, and it continues and unites with the urinary passage and forms urethra, and finally it enters into penis and exits out through the external orifice. Okay. Let us discuss about the microscopic or anatomy of a testis. A testis is covered by means of three membranes. These protective coverings are called tunica vaginalis, the outermost, then in between is tunica albuginea, then inside is tunica vasculosa. Okay. Inside is the tunica vasculosa, tunica vaginalis, tunica albuginea and tunica vasculosa. Tunica vaginalis is the outer serous coat and albuginea is made up of fibrous connective tissues. Then inside the testis there is a septum, that is called septum of the testis, and it divides the testis into around 250 testicular lobules. Okay, 250 testicular lobules. Each lobule consists of 2 to 3 seminiferous tubules. 2 to 3 tubules, those are known as seminiferous tubules, that are held together by a connective tissue matrix, and in between them there are certain cells that are called Leydig cells or interstitial cells. Okay. Inside the seminiferous tubules, spermatogenesis occurs. Okay. When we take the TS of a seminiferous tubule, we can find it is lined by a epithelium, that is called germinal epithelium. Okay. Germinal epithelium, it contains cells called spermatogonial cells or sperm mother cell. Also another type of cell that is found, that is called your Sertoli cells or sustentacular cells, you can also call them as nerve cell. The main function of the Sertoli cell is to provide the site of attachment or the site of support for the developing spermatozoa, and also it secretes a protein, that is ABP and inhibin. Okay, it secretes ABP and inhibin. Then inside it you can find spermatocytes at different stages. Those are primary spermatocytes that undergo meiosis to form the secondary spermatocytes, and finally the secondary spermatocyte undergo the meiosis to produce the spermatase. The spermatase then undergoes maturation process to produce the mature spermatozoa. Okay. After that, let us see the cells present in between the seminiferous tubules are the Leydig cells. These are named, the Leydig cells and the Sertoli cells are named after the discoverer, that is Sertoli and Leydig. Okay. The Leydig cell, under the influence of hormone, of anterior pituitary, that is LH, under the influence of LH, luteinizing hormone, it secretes a hormone called testosterone. Then under the influence of FSH, the Sertoli cell produces inhibin and ABP, and also that is anti-Mullerian hormone. Anti-Mullerian hormone, it is secreted during fetal development, because this anti-Mullerian. Anti means against the Mullerian hormone. The Mullerian hormone is required for the development of female reproductive tract. To inhibit the development of female reproductive tract, it secretes anti means the against the hormone that is antagonistic to the action of Mullerian hormone, that is AMH, anti-Mullerian hormone. So it also promotes the process called spermatogenesis. Okay. After that, what happens? 2 to 3 seminiferous tubules are present in each testicular lobules. Okay. Inside, after that, coming from each lobule, they emerge at a place and to unite with each other to form the structure called retitestis. Okay. They form a structure that is called retitestis. Okay. From retitestis, 10 to 15 coils emerge as vasa efferentia. Okay. Emerge to go outside as vasa efferentia. One point I missed here, that is blood testis barrier. Blood testis barrier is a barrier that is formed by the Sertoli cells that inhibits the passage of blood and also the anti-sperm antibodies to the testis. So also it also blocks the passage of the sperm from moving from the testis to the circulatory system. This is called blood testis barrier. Okay. Then come to the vasa efferentia. Vasa efferentia is it is formed with 15 to 20 seminiferous tubules that unite together to form vasa efferentia, and it unites at the head region of epididymis. At the head region of epididymis, that is called caput epididymis. Epididymis is a coiled tube. It is highly coiled tube and behind each testis it is present. Okay. Length is about 6 to 7 meters. Its length is about 6 to 7 meters and it is highly coiled with division into 3 parts, that is caput, corpus and cauda. Caput, corpus and cauda epididymis. Okay. The sperm passes through this part, caput, corpus and cauda, and gets final maturation in epididymis and is stored in epididymis for 3 to 4 months. Okay. Then the epididymis, the cauda epididymis is continued as vas deferens. It is continues as vas deferens. Okay. It continues up to your seminal vesicle and dilates there, forming a structure called ampulla. As I have shown here, this structure is the ampullary region. Okay. Epididymis along with your testes forms a structure that is called testicle. Okay. After vas deferens continues till your seminal vesicle, it forms ejaculatory duct. If there is a cut in the vas deferens that causes male sterility, the process is called vasectomy. Okay. Ejaculatory duct is a small duct formed by the union of vas deferens and the duct of seminal vesicle. Okay. There are 2 such type of ducts at the left side and at the right side of your body. They enter into the prostate gland. Both the ejaculatory duct enter into the prostate gland and finally open into a structure that is called urethra, and they finally open into urethra. In the ejaculatory duct, the sperm mix up with the secretion of seminal vesicle. So that is your semen is formed here. The wall of the ejaculatory duct is muscular and quickly conduct the ejaculate through the urinogenital tract. After formation of ejaculatory duct and passes through the prostate gland, it unites with the urinary duct to form a common passage that is called urinogenital duct. We can also call it as urinogenital tract. Then come to urethra. Urethra is a tube of about 20 centimeter in length. it is divided into three parts, that is the prostatic urethra, then membranous urethra, then come to the penile urethra. Prostatic urethra is the region that passes through the prostate gland, then the membranous urethra, then the region that passes through the penis region, that is called penile urethra. Then come to the last structure is your penis. Okay, penis is the main organ, main copulatory organ, and also it is the organ for excretion. Okay, excretory duct. It is divided into the root, okay, the root of the penis, the root, and then it is formed into the body part, also consists of the skin. Skin is the shaft skin, and then the prepuce. Prepuce is the skin that covers the glans region, the end point or the tip of the penis, that is called the glans penis. It is covered by a fold of skin called prepuce. Okay. The body of the penis is made up of three columns of tissues. Three columns of tissues. What are they? Two are corpora cavernosa. Two tissues are corpora cavernosa, and one is your corpus spongiosum. One is your corpus spongiosum. Okay. So, the corpora cavernosa is present in two sets at the dorsal side, and corpus spongiosum is present in one set, that is present at the ventral side. The urethra passes through the corpus spongiosum. The glans penis, commonly known as the head or tip of the penis, is extended cap of the corpus spongiosum. Then let us know what are the accessory glands. The accessory glands are the seminal vesicle, prostate, and the bulbourethral gland. First is the seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicle, there are a pair of convoluted pouches located behind the urinary bladder. They secrete viscous yellow fluid which forms most of the semen. Means the fluid part of the semen is donated by the secretions of seminal vesicle. It contains nutrients like fructose. Fructose is found in none other part of the body except the secretions of seminal vesicle. It also contains vitamins, mucus, and a large amount of prostaglandins for the nutrition and protection of the sperm in the semen. Fructose is present in the seminal fluid and is not produced anywhere of the body and is meant for the nutrient. It acts as the greatest source of energy and is the main nutrient source for the sperm. Then the urethra passes through the gland, that is prostate. Prostate is a hard glandular organ located below the urinary bladder. It is located below the urinary bladder. You can see here the position, that is below the urinary bladder, and it also contributes to the fluid part of the semen. It secretes thin milky white alkaline fluid which neutralizes the acidity in the semen as well as the acidic environment of the vagina of the female. Okay, this fluid enhances the fertilization capacity of the sperm. It also increases the sperm motility. As the male grows older, there will be swelling or there will be enlargement of the prostate, by that it squeezes or decreases the diameter of the urethra. So, there will be pain during urination. However, it is cured by surgery. The last gland is your bulbourethral gland or the Kaposi gland. Okay. These are small sized pea-sized structures that are present below the prostate, that lie below the prostate. The short ducts from these glands open into the urethra shorter ducts that open into urethra carry the secretions of the bulbourethral gland. They also contribute to the fluid part of the semen, and the neutralization of acidic environment of the semen as well as the vaginal tract is aided by the secretion of your bulbourethral gland, or that is your corpus gland. The first secretion during orgasm is the secretion of your bulbourethral gland. At the time of sexual excitement, excitement, erection of the sex organs, erection of penis occurs. How? Due to the action of sympathetic nerves. What happens? There will be dilation of your blood vessels and increased blood flow to the sex organs. Hence, the organs gets excited, and this is known as orgasm. And it is also aided with other physiological changes like increasing heartbeat, increasing temperature that causes sweating. These are certain features that are associated with orgasm. Okay, the fluid released during the process of orgasm is called ejaculation. Okay, the process through which the fluid is released is known as ejaculation, and each ejaculation consists of 2 to 4 ml of semen. Okay, and the sperm count, the normal sperm count in a semen is 1 million per 1 ml of semen. 1 million per 1 ml of semen. However, the pH of the semen is 7.5. The pH of semen is 7.5. That is highly, that is not highly, that is slightly alkaline in nature. So, the tract of the sperm that passes from the testis to the vagina is first the seminiferous tubule. So, from the seminiferous tubule it will go to the retitestis. From retitestis it will move to vasa efferentia, then epididymis, the 3 parts of epididymis, then vas deferens, then ejaculatory duct, then it comes to the external urethra, first internal urethra, then come to the external urethra. After external urethra, it is inserted into the vagina of the female. So, what is the tract? First is your from seminiferous tubule, it moves to the retitestis. From retitestis, it will move to vasa efferentia, then epididymis. From epididymis, it will move to vas deferens, then ejaculatory duct. From ejaculatory duct, it will move to internal urethra, then external urethra, then the female reproductive tract. Then it will go to the female reproductive tract. However, certain hormones that control the testicular action, those are the hormones secreting from your hypothalamus, that are GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormones, that helps or controls the secretion of your anterior pituitary, that is your adenohypophysis secretion, that is LH and FSH. Okay. LH and FSH. LH acts on your Leydig cells to synthesize testosterone. Okay. Then FSH acts on the seminiferous tubule, the nerve cell, it acts on the nerve cells of the seminiferous tubule to secrete inhibin and also facilitate spermatogenesis. When there will be more amount of testosterone and more amount of inhibin, it will regulate the secretion of GnRH at the hypothalamus. It will send a negative signal, so that there will be stoppage of the secretion. When the blood level of testosterone decreases, it gets signal to release more amount of GnRH, so also LH and FSH. This covers the total process or the total structural elements and the function of each component of the male reproductive structure. Now we have to discuss about the female reproductive structure of human. The chief female reproductive organ or the primary organ is your ovary, and it is assisted with all the secondary structure, that are your fallopian tube or the oviducts, then uterus, then come to the vagina and external genitalia, and assisted with another gland that is called a mammary gland. Let us know what are the ovaries. A pair of ovary is present in the abdominal cavity. These are almond shaped structure present on either side of vertebral column in the abdominal cavity. The size of each ovary is 1.5 centimeter to 3 centimeter, and its thickness is or breadth is 8 mm or 0.8 centimeter. Okay. Each ovary is held in position. Each ovary is held in position by means of some ligament. Okay, by means of some ligament, and those ligaments are one that attaches to the uterine wall, that is ovarian ligament, and it is held with the abdominal cavity by means of peritoneal fold, and that is called this is called mesothelium or mesothelium ligament along with the suspensory ligament. Okay. So, these are two ligaments, that is ovarian ligament and suspensory ligament. In between there is a fold of skin that is called mesothelium, and there is presence of a broad ligament that contacts the uterus, that contacts the lower part of the uterus with the ovary. Then the microscopic anatomy of ovary, what is it? The TS of ovary shows there is 4 layers. What are those 4 layers? Those are germinal epithelium. The outermost layer is the germinal epithelium, made up of simple squamous and cuboidal cells. Then come to tunica albuginea. Next is ovarian cortex, and then ovarian medulla. The germinal layer consists of germinal epithelium. The cells present here are the oogonial cells. They reside in the egg nest. Then there will be formation of different follicles in subsequent stages of life. However, before birth there are 2 to 4 million of ovarian follicles that are at their meiotic arrest. Meiotic arrest means after completion of the multiple phase of oogenesis, after completion of multiplication phase of oogenesis, that is, it is arrested in the condition of primary oocyte, okay, inside the egg nest. During puberty, means whenever it assumes sexual maturity, when it acquires a sexual maturity, that is called puberty, there the division of the subsequent cells, the subsequent oogonia continues, okay, to secondary oogonium. Then it will again go meiotic arrest at metaphase 2 stage. Whenever the egg is released, it is released in the stage of metaphase 2, that is called second meiotic arrest. After fertilization, it will become a mature ovum, there fertilization will occur, okay. In the secondary follicle, what happens? The egg is surrounded by a number of follicular cells. Those are called granulosa cells. The egg starts secreting a protective layer around itself, that is called zona pellucida. That layer is called zona pellucida, and it is made up of a non-proteinous layer, that is made up of glycoprotein, okay. Many granulosa cells invade into this layer and communicate with the egg cell. Then what happens? There develops a cavity. That cavity is called antral cavity. This cavity is called antral cavity, filled with a liquid, that is called liquor folliculi, secreted by these granulosa cells, okay. This stage is called secondary follicle, and it is also called antral follicle. Okay. Then around the granulosa cells, the connective tissue of the ovarian stroma gets differentiated into two parts, that is outer theca externa and inner theca interna. The outer theca externa is fibrous in nature, however, the internal theca interna is vascular in nature. Okay. Then the secondary follicle develops into a tertiary follicle, and subsequently the mature follicle is called the Graafian follicle. Okay. Then the at this stage what happens, a number of or the diameter of this antral cavity increases and the egg surrounded by the follicular cell gets attached to one side by means of a stalk of cell, that is called colummus oophorus. That is called colummus oophorus. If we look at the size of all these follicles, the primordial follicles is 100 micrometer. Okay, that is 100 micrometer. Secondary follicle is 200 micrometer, and finally the Graafian or the early stage of tertiary follicle is 400 micrometer in diameter. It gradually swells up. Okay. Due to the action of the hormone secreted from anterior pituitary, that is LH. Okay. Due to the action of LH hormone, that is luteinizing hormone, that is called LH surge. The process is called LH surge when the concentration of luteinizing hormone in blood increases. After LH surge, what happens? Due to LH surge, ovulation occurs. Ovulation means the Graafian follicle ruptures and the egg along with some follicular cells is released into the abdominal cavity. This process is called ovulation. Here it is egg, it is surrounded by many follicular cells. Okay. Then what happens after rupture? This Graafian follicle, there is discharge of blood and the blood finally clots and it forms a corpus luteum. It forms a structure that is called corpus luteum. This corpus luteum acts as endocrine in nature, means it secretes two kinds of hormones. What are they? These are estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone. It continues to secrete progesterone if pregnancy occurs. When pregnancy will occur? If fertilization occurs after ovulation. After ovulation, what happens? The egg is released into the abdominal cavity and these finger-like projections called fimbriae, they collect the ovum through ostium to infundibulum and the egg is carried to the ampullary region. The sperm swims and reaches up to the ampullary region. Here fertilization occurs. If fertilization occurs, then it continues secreting progesterone. Progesterone is the hormone that requires to maintain pregnancy. If fertilization doesn't occur, then the egg, the unfertilized egg in its second meiotic arrest, that is in metaphase 2 stage, is released to outside during menstrual cycle. Okay. So, after the release of egg and there is no fertilization, the corpus luteum ceases secretion of hormones estrogen and progesterone. There will not be more secretion of progesterone, it will stop, and finally it will be presented as a scar that is called corpus albicans. This scar is called corpus albicans. Then ovarian cortex is supplied with the ovarian artery, ovarian vein, and there is nerve supply to this structure. Okay. Here we complete the structure of TS of ovary. Then what are the other reproductive structures associated with it? It is the main reproducing organ. Then after release of the ovum, during ovulation phase of menstrual cycle, the ovum is collected by the finger-like projections present in the dilated region, that is infundibulum of fallopian tube. Okay. It is carried to infundibulum by fimbriae through a pore that is called ostium, okay. Through ostium it enters into the fallopian tube. Fallopian tube is about 12 centimeter in length. It is about 12 centimeter in length and is divided into 3 parts, that is infundibulum, ampulla and isthmus. Okay. Infundibulum, ampulla, isthmus. Ampulla is the region where fertilization of the ovum occurs. Then it leads into uterus. Uterus is a inverted pear-shaped structure. Uterus is a inverted pear-shaped structure that is present in the lower abdominal cavity, and its length is about it is 7.5 centimeter in length and 5 centimeter in width. It is about 7.5 centimeter in length and 5 centimeter in width, and is divided into 3 parts, that is your fundus, then body, then the cervix. Fundus, body and the cervix. Okay. The cervix communicates with the body through an opening that is called internal os, that is called internal orifice or internal os. Then it communicates to the vagina. It communicates with the vagina through external orifice or external os. It is the main copulatory chamber. Okay. During copulation, the penis is inserted up to cervix. Okay. Then what happens inside the body? Let us know the structure of the body, histology of body. The body of uterus consists of 3 linings. The body of uterus consists of 3 lining, that is outer perimetrium, middle myometrium and inner endometrium. Outer perimetrium, middle myometrium and inner endometrium. This endometrial lining suppose as a cushion and all other environment required for the implantation of the embryo. Okay. Embryo will be formed after fertilization inside the ampulla. If fertilization does not occur, what happens? The endometrial lining along with the ovum slugs off, that is as menses. Okay. During menstrual cycle, it is highly vascular in nature, means it has a rich supply of blood vessels, and we know that implantation occurs in the endometrial lining. Okay. Then come to know about the vagina. Okay. Vagina is the copulation chamber in the female, measuring about 10 centimeter in adult. The cervix opens into the upper part of the vagina, while the lower part opens to outside the vaginal opening situated in between the vestibule of the labia minora and labia majora. Okay. It is the vagina and it opens to outside through vaginal orifice. Then let us know what are the external genitalia. The external genitalia includes the clitoris, okay, the clitoris, then the urinary orifice, the vaginal orifice, okay, the clitoris, urinary orifice, vaginal orifice, labia minora. This one is your labia minora. Then it is a fold of skin. Then outside to it is present labia majora. Okay, outside to it is present labia majora. At the junction of labia minora, there is presence of an organ that is called clitoris that gets erected during copulation or during orgasm. There occurs rapid flow of blood into it so that it gets erected. Another gland that is called Bartholin's gland. Another gland that is called Bartholin's gland that is present around the vaginal orifice. Okay, Bartholin's gland is present around the vaginal orifice that lubricates or that makes the passage during the birth of a baby, during the birth of a fetus. Okay. After that, what happens? let us know during copulation what happens. There is rapid flow of blood into all these structures along with the mammary gland. I will describe what is the structure of mammary gland, as it also acts as one of the most important gland of the female to nourish the baby. Okay, all these gland along with the nipple and the breast gets erected, and that process is called what? That process is called orgasm. Okay. Now let us know the structure of the mammary gland. Okay, one point I left, that it gets erected and that process is called orgasm. During copulation, the penis get inserted into the female reproductive tract and the sperm is released. The gradual contraction and relaxation of uterine wall makes the sperm move from the uterus up to the ampullary region of the fallopian tube where fertilization occurs. Okay, this is clear. Then let us discuss the mammary gland. These are a pair of glands present in the thoracic region of both male and female. Okay. However, in case of male, it is rudimentary in nature and it is well developed in case of females, because the female has to nourish the baby. The externally, there is presence of nipple surrounded by a dark color region that is called areola, and the sagittal section of mammary gland shows that it is present above the pectoralis major muscle and on a pad of fat cells. Okay, it is divided into many mammary lobes separated by the interlobular septums. Each lobe is continued with many alveoli, and each alveoli open into mammary tubules, and many mammary tubules unite to form the mammary ducts, and the mammary ducts open into the ampulla that is open to outside through nipple by means of lactiferous duct. Okay, milk is secreted by the action of hormone, that is prolactin, and it is ejected out of the breast by the action of hormone oxytocin. I hope you all have understood all the basic structure of female reproductive tract. Thank you all.